You're listening to the Blind Tiger Record Club podcast, where we champion music of all genres, and we believe vinyl is king. That opening song was I'm 18 by Alice Cooper. It was on the 1971 release Love&Death. That song peaked at number 21 on the top 40 chart and was the first commercial success for the band. It was actually that song's success that led Warner Brothers to believe that the band had potential commercial appeal. That album went on to number 35 on the Billboard 200 and has been certified platinum. It sounds great on vinyl, and we have the limited edition reissue at blindtigerrecordclub.com. It's a beautiful black and white vinyl, and it is just one of those rock albums that sounds amazing on this format. Go to the site and check out the store today. This episode is brought to you by 85 Supply. 85 Supply is a nationwide supplier of wholesale merchandise. These guys offer over 250,000 different products. They've worked with customers like CMT, Uber, Chick-fil-A, LaCroix, all the way to some of the most popular names in modern entertainment. Whether it's 50 pieces or 100,000 pieces, these guys have you covered. 85 Supply is a hands-on boutique merchandise experience. Check them out at 85supply.com, printing at its finest. On today's podcast, we're going to be talking about Nothing More and their album, The Stories We Tell Ourselves. Joining us in the studio today is special guest Brian Head Welch of Korn. Brian has been a member of Korn since its founding and also has the side band Love&Death. Brian also has a documentary coming out called Loud Crazy Love. It's an amazing movie. Be on the lookout for it. It should be coming out in 2018. Nothing More is from San Antonio, Texas. They formed in 2003, but they wouldn't see commercial breakthrough until 2013 with the independent release of their self-titled album. Johnny Hawkins, who's the lead singer, started out as the band's drummer, filling that role for the first 8 years of the band's existence. After going through a few different frontmen, Johnny decided to take the role on for himself. At first, he tried to do it from the kit, but when that didn't seem to translate as well, Johnny left the kit behind, and that's when things started to really click. The band had already accomplished a lot. Even when the current band's lead singer was still the drummer, they toured with 30 Seconds to Mars, as well as a main act on the Warped Tour in 2007. In 2011, they self-funded their fourth album. They worked on the album for 3 years and wrote some 60 songs for that album. They worked that down to 20 songs, and then 15 actually made the cut and were recorded on the record. They released it independently in June of 2013. In September, at Aftershock Festival, Nothing More had just killed it at the stage they were performing, and the festival asked them to come back and perform a second night to replace a bigger name band that had canceled in one of the large stages. It was after this show that the band started getting pursued by labels. They signed with 11-7 Music and released the album in 2014. The first single was This Is the Time, and it went number 1 on Media-Based Active Rock and number 2 on Billboard Mainstream Rock. The following singles also charted: Mr. MTV, number 12, Jenny, number 6, Here's to the Heartache, number 4. The band toured all over the world, and in 2015, the band went on tour with Shinedown. Nothing More had arrived, and Johnny wasn't a drummer anymore. In 2016, the band started writing and recording for a new album. They took a break to tour with Disturbed and Chevelle and then returned to the studio in 2017 to finish the album. In June of 2017, the band announced the soon-to-be-released The Stories We Tell Ourselves. The album released September 15th, 2017. It peaked at number 15 on Billboard 200, number 2 on Independent Albums Billboard, and number 2 on Hard Rock Albums Billboard. The first single, Go to War, went number 1 on Active Rock and number 2 on Billboard's Mainstream Rock. Do You Really Want It is working its way up the mainstream charts now. Although it didn't win, the album garnered 3 Grammy nominations at the 2018 Grammy Awards: Best Rock Album, Best Rock Performance, which was Go to War, and Best Rock Song, also Go to War. So let's drop the needle and talk about this album. We have a special guest in the studio today, Mr. Brian Head Welch from Korn and Love&Death, and what else?
Hey, that's about it. I'm your friend. That's the most important.
Well, you could tell them about your movie you've got coming out.
Oh yeah, soon I'll be an actor or whatever. No, it's a documentary, so I'm not acting. I'm just acting like myself. Documentary is called Loud Crazy Love. It's a story about a lot of things, mainly like a father and daughter story, woven in with rock and roll mixed in addiction and recovery and all kinds of good stuff, faith, everything. So it's really emotionally impactful, and I can't wait till it comes out.
Me too. It's been a long process, about 4.5 years.
So long.
A little bit longer to live it, but 4.5 years to make it.
Yep, you lived it with me.
Some of it. So today, we really appreciate you coming in. We're going to be talking about Nothing More and their most recent record, The Stories We Tell Ourselves. And you've seen those guys, and you actually know some of them, right?
Yeah, we were on the road. I remember we did this like nice tour and big rooms, and the stages were awesome. And then we had a show in Texas booked, and it was like 1,500 seater. And they're like, "Oh yeah, we'll just we'll throw it in there because it's on the end of the tour or whatever." So we get there, and there's like 5 lights on top of this. Did not look professional. And so we were just kind of bummed. And then there was nothing to do. The backstage dressing rooms were horrible. So I was like, I'm just going to sit out here and watch the opening band. And I watched Nothing More. And the guitar player is what got me first. He started out on this riff, and I think it was a whammy he was using, but he's using it in a way that like Korn doesn't use it. It was very unique. And so it caught my ear that this band had a different sound than most bands. And so I sat there and watched them. Then I heard Johnny the singer, and I'm like, what? Crazy. He's so good.
Yeah, I think he's one of the most unique singers and that's doing hard rock, really.
Yeah.
I mean, even the high parts he hits, they're awesome. And the first song we're going to listen to is the first single off the record, Go to War, which also was a Grammy-nominated song this year. It didn't win, but it was nominated, which I think they were probably pretty excited about.
Yeah, can I tell a quick story?
Yeah.
I was at the AP Awards. They performed, and I saw them, and I said, hey, after the show, I said, hey, did I hear your new single on the Planet of the Apes trailer? And he's like, yeah, we just found out that we got the movie, and the next thing you know, the trailer comes out and our song's on it. And I'm like, dude, that movie's gonna be huge. They're just so new still.
Yeah,
so they're like, oh my gosh, we got a trailer. They were really excited.
I don't know what you had in mind, but here we stand on opposing sides. Let's go to war. Let's go to war. One by one, let's go to war. Let's go to war. Everything you say, everything you do, you push it in, and you cut me down.
those guys bring some creativity, but these melodic hooks that are just, I mean, they're catchy, they're in your face, but I mean, it's just incredible stuff.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that trailer, because that actually is the first time I ever heard that song, was when I saw that trailer.
Really?
Yeah, and even then, I didn't even know who it was when I saw the trailer, and it catches you.
I was trying to figure out where I heard it from.
Yeah.
Right? And, then all of a sudden you connect it together and you're like, oh, okay.
I was hearing what you talked about, the melodies and everything. They're really authentic, too. Like, you can put out a melodic song left and right. Any band can do it, but it's like, if you hear the timing of those hits, like on the it's not standard like stuff they do, even with the melodic, but it all blends in, and just and that tagline at the end where you say, we feel safe. Do we feel safe? It's just so cool, tied with the war topic,
Yeah.
Because it makes you think,
Mm-hmm.
I think that's probably the one thing that, I mean, you see throughout this entire album is the lyrical content. I mean, when you start reading all these lyrics, I mean, thank God we're putting this stuff out on vinyl again where we can actually read the lyrics.
Yeah.
Right, So, I mean, you see these lyrics, and I know we were talking about this at some point earlier, but I mean, they're just not only is the music authentic, but the lyrics just address subjects that it's just not like, hey, this is rock and roll band, and say, oh, by the way, we got this really cool hook. We probably should put some lyrics to it. It's a completely opposite approach. I mean, they just dive into some crazy, great subjects, and just it's really thought-provoking.
very thought out, and you could tell he's a deep thinker.
Yeah.
Whoever does the lyrics, I'm assuming Joni.
I think it is. I mean, from some of the interviews that we've read, that's the thing. We were talking about that earlier. Like the throughout the album, it catches you off guard because you don't expect music, and a lot of times even hard music in particular, kind of has a reputation for not being as heady as this is. And the whole album from start to finish, every song really, it really is more than just a regular rock song. But, and I thought about you a little bit too, because even when we've talked about some of your solo stuff, when you do like Love and Death, there's always that thing of how do we really get these good singable choruses and really drive this hooky moment in the song so that the song is you remember the song, versus just, driving guitars or, other things that would be in a rock song.
Yeah.
So, this album does remind me a lot of that because, every song's hooky, every one.
It's hard sometimes because, I love the heavy stuff, and I'm not trying to be like, commercial, but also grew up loving Journey. And so, like,
wait, can you just sing some for us real quick?
Just a small town girl.
All right, that's enough.
And so I love it too. But yeah, they do it very well because when the energy parts come, you feel it. It's like, ah! And when the melody's there, you feel it emotionally too. So they do a great balance.
All right, let's play Do You Really Want It?
Do you really want it? Say, give me a high, oh God, give me a feeling. Say, give me a push, a push to this. Say, give me a sign that proves what I believe in. So I can shake these American demons. Give me. Everybody wants to change the world, but one thing's clear. No one ever wants to change themselves. All because we hate the buzzkill, treated what we need to feel. But we can change it all if you really want it.
So this is what I was talking about when I was talking about the lyrical content being incredibly deep. It actually goes into everybody wants to change the world, but the one thing's clear, no one ever wants to change themselves. Do you really want it? Do you really want it? And I'm just far superior as far as lyric content than what you see in so much of the content that's coming out from bands these days. Again, not to trash other bands, I don't mean that as a negative, just how incredibly insightful some of these lyrics are, and they just cause you to stop and think.
It's a gift too because it's clever, right? That line is clever, and it makes you think. And it's just like what I said earlier on, do we feel safe? Just that tagline at the end of the chorus, do we feel safe? It makes you think, just like that one. So it's hard to do that. I try to write lyrics for my solo project, and it's hard, man. And I bring inspiration. I get inspiration for guys like that dig deeper, make you think.
Johnny did an interview with HM Magazine in the fall, and I had written down something that he said because he was talking about just in general when it comes to songwriting or just even being an artist. He said that a lot of bands, nothing more included, have to ask themselves the question, why are you singing those songs? What is the point? Because sure, it could be another catchy song, make you feel a certain level of feelings, but how is that going to radically alter someone's way of thinking or how their heart is feeling? Really connect with them. There's a lot of ways to win in that realm in contact with other people, but I think that the philosophy is really getting to the heart of why we are singing this. What is the point? It's as simple as
man.
that. So yeah,
Deep.
So amazing. Well, I mean, who thinks about that? Usually just people want success. You know, this guy, yeah, I've talked to him more. Like I saw him at the Chicago Open Air Festival, and he came up to me and said, "Hey man, I like your story, what happened to your life, and it's inspiring." And that meant a lot to me because I'm a fan of their band ever since I first saw them. And so just hearing that, what he wrote right there, what he said right there, I would like to sit down and talk with him, and he seems just like an awesome guy.
yeah,
That's cool. It's rare.
yeah.
There's
it
this
is.
really cool trend that seems to be happening in the album too, because as I was reading some of the other lyrics later on, when it goes back into the everybody wants to change the world, it says, everybody wants to change the world, we can change it all. No one ever wants to change themselves, we can change it all, right? And they just keep addressing these like subjects, and they keep countering with it like nobody wants to change themselves, but we can change it all. And I love how there's this, it's almost like this fight, this pull that's happening with their lyrics. I mean, you heard that in the previous song we were listening to as well.
And what do you get? Like, it's challenging the person listening, even though it's not challenging them directly. Like, when I read that, I'm thinking like, man.
And they thought they were just buying a record
yeah.
with great music, and all of a sudden you dive in lyrically,
Yeah,
and you find something deep.
And you could listen to that and be like, I could change things about myself.
Yeah, you talk about inspiring, right? You just mentioned how inspiring it was when they, learned about you and all the things, everything that you've written in your book, where you've come out of, right? And you wonder if maybe even some of that, by talking with individuals like yourself, if it's actually caused that or created this search, this hunger, this longing, trying to find something new, trying to find something different.
All I know is that he's inspiring me now with his lyrics. So,
All right, well, the next song we're going to listen to is Funny Little Creatures, and that's the one that he wrote with Clint Lowry, who you have some history with, so we'll talk about that in a second. But that's Clint from Seven Dust, so let's play that song.
So I tell myself, right, maybe it's like coward but self-righteous, a funny little creature hiding out in me. Hate is power with a price tag, a funny little creature screaming out in me. It's funny how stories that I tell myself leave so many things out. Do I believe myself or someone else? It's funny how I know what's wrong about everything and everyone else when I don't know myself. When I don't know myself,
I think it's really cool. I mean, hearing a lot of the minor chords that they're using. I was watching him play in one of the videos, and it looks like he does like a lot of open chords, like these B minor seventh chords that are that you're playing open. It's just really, really cool. It just adds this whole flavor.
Yeah.
They just dive deep musically.
and his vocals, I wonder if he like pinches his testicles or something. He goes, yeah. He puts
That's
like
good. Can you do that one more time?
a safety pin on the end of one. But you see, like the timing, like we talked about the percussion elements,
Yeah,
and I
yeah.
wonder how much Johnny is involved in that because he's a drummer, you know?
I was wondering the same thing because that song's super percussive.
Yeah. I mean, the chorus is just gallopy, and then it goes halftime in the verses, and it's really cool. And that's Clint wrote with that, right?
Yeah, that's
a co-writer?
There's a co-writer on that song, yeah.
Awesome, man. I've been a fan of Seven Dust since '94, I think, right when they came out. And when I left Korn, he left Seven Dust around then, and he joined Korn and played my parts on all the songs that I played on. So that was really cool because I've always loved Clint's playing and his vocals. He's got a great voice. So yeah, a lot of history with these guys.
Yeah. All right, well, the next song we're going to listen to is one of the ballads on the record. It's called Fade In and Fade Out, and I had read that this was basically him talking with his dad and kind of
Really?
like he's fading. His dad's basically in the chorus saying, "You're fading in as I'm fading out."
So just so I understand, you can still do ballads today, right?
Yes,
I mean, we're back to the
there's a
80s
couple
ballads,
of really great moments on this album for sure.
Every rose has its thorn.
I guarantee this will be its own unique, and it'll have
I think you're probably right.
Yeah, and I don't think when I say ballad, I wasn't thinking every rose has
like
its thorn.
80s hair metal ballad.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Fade out. I have watched you fade in. You will watch me fade out. When the grip leaves my hand, I know you won't let me down. Go and find your way. Leave me in your wake. Always push through the pain. And don't run away from change. Never settle. Make your mark. Hold your head up. Follow your heart. Follow your heart. Just the other day, I stared at the ocean with every new wave.
Well, he sounds like an awesome father. Because if the chorus is saying that his dad is saying, if I'm right here, go and find your way, leave me in your wake, always push through the pain, and don't run away from change. I love that line. Never settle, make your mark, hold your head up, follow your heart, follow your heart.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good dad.
Yep.
And what a way to end an album. I mean, it's the last song.
Yeah, it's the last song on the
last song
record,
on the
right.
album, and it's just like such a way to kind of leave this wake of metal and
Yeah.
craziness and just awesome lyrics with just something that's just really thought-provoking.
If I wrote that, the lyrics would have been like, why do you grow your hair so long? Clean up your room, go get a job. And his
good.
dad
That's
sounds
good.
awesome.
Your
Yeah.
dad is
I'm just
awesome.
joking. My dad's cool too. Very.
Turn the music down. That's what my dad would have said.
Yeah. My dad actually used to tell me like, "Why you cut your hair?" And then one day when Korn started getting some stuff going on, he's like, "Man, who would have thought that? And you would make a living out of this." So I was wrong. He said, "I was wrong, son. You were preparing for your future."
Well, he's a bigger dad than most dad. Than if he admitted
Right?
that he was
Yeah.
wrong, right?
He's awesome.
Well, and I was thinking too, I like the very first verse of this song. He's talking about starting to see his dad get older. And I can relate to that for sure. I mean, I think probably all of us have seen when you start seeing your dad, who it's your dad, and now he's getting a little more feeble than he was. He's needing more help, and those kind of
Yeah.
things. And so that whole acknowledgement is there. And then as a father, I was thinking about my kids and then thinking about them seeing that in me one day, and it's just, what kind of message are you going to leave with them and all that. So, I mean, yeah, it's just another example of just kind of like you're not expecting to get lyrics like this, really. I mean, it's not something I would have expected when I first put the record on.
And they're so young. The guys are young. I mean, I don't know how young, but they look pretty dang young to me. So it's like, yeah, just it goes back to the deep well that they're carrying, or he's carrying, or whoever the lyricist is. Or maybe there's multiple, but they're just, great people.
Man, if these guys only knew how much we were loving on them. It's like a bunch of love gushes going on here.
I mean, it's like we got to give props to where props is due, right?
Absolutely. I mean,
It's
it's
very cool.
it's real, it's authentic, it's very true.
And since
I mean, you can't talk about this album without talking about the depthness of the lyrics. I mean, because that's what
Yeah.
makes it so great. I mean, yeah, the music's incredible, but
to me, it's definitely what separates it. Like, I mean, I think there's a lot of music They're musically, it's a strong record for sure. But I could find other bands if I was just looking for, guitar-driven rock and things. But there's definitely something different about this album.
And we gotta pay props to these different areas, because the real reason we like them, his six pack, is probably
right.
We got to talk about other things. So.
Right.
He's got a six pack there.
I think too. I think
Hold on,
I'm glad this record was nominated for a Grammy.
Oh yeah, I forgot.
I think I'd like to see the bar raised in rock. Honestly, I really would like to see it. Like kind of a gauntlet being thrown down. I mean, I think there needs to be more albums that are coming out that are going to challenge musically the format.
Yeah.
So it's just been struggling for a while, and
are they up against Metallica?
No, I can't remember if they were in that category. They were in 3 categories, but one was for the song "Go to War," and then one was
they got
to
win, man.
They didn't.
They got to win.
It was last night.
Give the young bucks something. Come on, Grammys.
Well, that was kind of like the point of this whole podcast, right? It's why we do this and why we spend the time giving credit to where credit's due, because anybody that's listening to this podcast is listening to because they're just a crazy music lover, most likely, or they're trying to really dive deep into vinyl or whatever it is. And so we want to be able to uncover things more than just how cool the music is. You can put the music on yourself and listen to the music and make a judgment call from that.
Yeah.
But to have the history and, Brian obviously sharing so much history with them, it's incredible just getting all these details. I think it really helps form even better opinions on an already amazing band.
I totally agree.
And I will, since you did mention vinyl, we should talk about the vinyl, because that's what we are. We're a vinyl club, and it's actually a beautifully packaged record. It's a double LP. It's white vinyl, and actually I think all the packaging with it, the colors and everything, it's great. So if you haven't seen it, you should go to blindtigerrecordclub.com and just look at it in the store. And
yeah, we got it all spread out right now. We just opened it. It's really cool. It's reminds me of my days back listening to AC/DC when I was 10 years old.
Brian, we really appreciate you joining us today and just providing a different perspective on the record than we could have, and just thank you for your time.
Awesome. Thank you very much for having me.
Keep on digging deep, we keep digging deep, we keep digging deep, we keep digging, we keep digging, we keep digging, we keep
Once again, thanks for listening to the Blind Tiger Record Club podcast. We want to thank our sponsors, 85 Supply, Sidecart, and don't forget, you can go to blindtigerrecordclub.com to check out any of the records we've talked about. And for all of our listeners, we'll give you a special coupon code, BTRC50. Type in BTRC50 in the coupon code at checkout, and you can get 50% off your first box. blindtigerrecordclub.com.